to change. They are here. If Stompy and Aqua pop off, now is the moment for the Kings to hold their throne. Here is the previous winner, Mr. Savage from 100 Thieves from DreamHack, trying to find a place in Pleasant Park. His games, though, not going that pleasant.
23 points, and they find themselves pretty much every single endgame, but what they don't find themselves is there together. It's either one or the other. iDrop and Mr. Savage tending to get splits, which could be an issue, but this fight here at Pleasant Park has not been one of those. Josh and Leo JT are not finding any footing against Mr. Savage and company, and here they do it again. They force the splits. They force the other team to have that north side, and I think because of this, Mr. Savage and iDrop are getting that central agency loot every single time. Mr. Savage even dips himself over towards yellow, and right in down to the agency spot. After just getting one chest, he even tries to shoot the henchman with the bandage bazooka. He's instantly looting this and getting the chests that he needs to get the heavy snipes and the epic loot out of these chests.
Obviously, Styler alone in Lazy Lake. So there was one change here. And that was Nyrox and Bat Sniper ultimately deciding that, hey, even though it's kind of known that we're here for this spot, we've defended it in multiple weeks. When it comes to game 5 and 6, if you have to make a change, it's now. We've been saying it, they're personifying it, they are gone, and it's going to be curious to see where they actually left to.
Where could it be? I haven't really seen too much that's been available. We haven't gotten a full map look or anything like that, so they would have much more insight than us, even though we get a good overview of everybody. So, you know what I'm thinking that, and we've seen in other regions, if you remember from some of the early weeks, Provoked and Tux, for example, left whatever they were dropping and went Grotto. I think Grotto turns into one of those spots nowadays that it just gets contested when people are desperate. When people are desperate, especially in EU, not necessarily in NA East.
Grotto has kind of evolved to the point where if you watch even NA East, because that's the most, I think, hotly contested region with good teams that understand the drop, there's nuances. There's certain ways to land it. It's not like just going Frenzy Farm, choosing the house, choosing the barn, or landing at a batter or worse drop on the field. It's not like going to Risky Reels and having the option of just landing on the billboard or on a house. It's not that straightforward. You have to go land for these, teleporter tubes. You have to go try to have a perfect drop to dive down into the silo. It's a very different, more difficult drop, and that's the only initial part of it. Once you're in there, the dynamic of playing from the lagoon and playing from the inside base is that much more different. If you're not used to it, if you just think, har, there's a minigun there, I want it, maybe that's the reason people are winning, you're not going to be able to find victory against Stompy Aqua, against other duels who are there, who might be losing but know the drop more than you.
100%, and that has been how it unfolded in week 1, for example, when Mr. Savage and iDrop made the change to Grotto previously, and then Provoked and Tux came in. They only won one of those fights after that. And exactly like the Heats, iDrop and Mr. Savage are starting to rise up and come back. Remember, they come from behind qualification. They barely made it in at 12th place in the Heats. And now again, they're starting to rise back up, but it's not just 12th place that they need. They need 1st place if they want to achieve their goals in this FNCS season.
Recognition is there either way right now. Snagged goes down. They're going to be leaving hopefully soon. Not getting shot too much by Steelix. We might be running away, showing his iron tail. There's another duo looming in the midst as well. This fight has to finish fast. There it is, but now that third party realizes it, hears it, and is going to base up to see if they can get some more shots down.
And the thing about this is that they have no clue. Joey Ray lurking in the back. He might have just spotted him. And I think he did because the mark goes out. But he doesn't know where his teammate is. That's Ray's lurking near the gas station. He gets a couple tags on the Daco. But now they're split. By the way, Bad Sniper and Nyrox have just gone down to Elocrats and Trippern, so somewhere outside of Dirty Docks is most likely where that went down. Same thing in Slurpy Swamps. Letwick and Kiriachi find themselves two to start things off, and that's what basically where they're getting all of their eliminations. Here's another fight outside of the grotto by the lake house. Yagsu and Kezix, who've been landing towards Retail Row, have now earned themselves 8 and switch things up to a nice fight, a nice shot to end things from Yagsu.
Is this where we see momentum start? Is the real question. Freddy looks like he knocks out himself in the feed. Not sure what's going on there, but these guys have had the biggest issues in early game box fights. Finally winning one and multiple earlier games on as well might make it seem that they have what it takes. They have the gas in the tank left to finish off this tournament above that top 25 threshold. That's basically first place for a lot of these guys, subpar 10 points. They just want to get up to the 20th point slot. They just need one good game of placement, and then they're fine. Having a launch pad, having the heals, and the basic loadout might be enough to get Yaxwell there, but every time he's faced under pressure, weird things happen. Here's one team that doesn't falter under pressure at all, Dako and Nems. They have their sightlines on Savage and Eyedrop. This might be a fight that affects the entire leaderboard. A nice quick beam there. Gets that surge down. Nems, though, needs some white HP.
That he does. Campfire is going to be available in Weeping Woods, most likely. A good disengage mechanic from Dako, building the stairs behind him to cover out so much line of sight from Eyedrop and Mr. Savage, who after getting tagged are definitely going to be looking for return fire, but it's not going to be there as they make their way over the hill. And they have been finding success, even contesting the agency. This time they don't get that mythic loot, but they pop out of the agency happy as the loot looks good. The fights were stellar for them as they pushed into Salty Springs unsuspectingly. Now looking at Wolfies and Lecce onto Droban and Bobo. A duo that took first place in the heats, by the way. And have one of the reigning champions in Droban, whose name is Galen here. A fight up on the mountains by that house, the secluded mountain house. There's the zone for first and how it all plays out. Not favoring the grotto. I don't see any teams in there right now. Central will be exactly where Wolfies and Lecce are fighting. Nice tags in through the window to start things off. But also gets traded, so he has to heal himself.
I might be looking at a grief mode being enabled very soon by this duo, and I feel like it's already started. They're just going to go from box fight to box fight. Galen and Bobo probably not going to see the light of day after this because they're low on HP and shields. Wolfies is on one wall while Lecce supports from the other. Now, though, this is where the weakness happens in this type of split. If one person gets hard focused or flanked on, the entire operation gets destroyed because now Wolfies does not have the support to have this free beam angle. There's a chance of a shotgun coming through and the person he's fighting not to consider his backside whatsoever. Galen trying to move all the way back. Lecce, like a sheepdog, controlling exactly where he can and can't move. But at 3 points, they're still struggling to find the speed in these fights. Finally, though, Wolfies gets a beam. This is the effect of constant pressure. Galen tries to wrap around, but it looks like this fight is ending fast and soon, hopefully.
Yeah, it looks like the launch pad is out. He's going to shake him down, but I think that's not going to get too much out of that. That might have been just an accident. Lecce's chasing, so maybe it's not going to be an accident, but Drogon got the better launch there as he makes his way all the way to the Lazy Lake House, and also possibly Lecce loses track of him. A nice tag, but no, he can't finish him off. Wolfies has the better pad, and he's still hot on his tail.
And this is that grief mode straight coming true. They're not letting anyone go.
Is this though? Like, this is their normal play style. It feels like they started throughout the Sunday finals playing differently than this, but throughout this grand finals, they've been pushing fights like this left and right.
I mean, that's the only reason I say it is because I feel like their normal play style since the heats has basically just changed to be a little bit more passive. I like the Grief Mode Wolfies and Lecce. That's what made them so strong and dominant against other duos. No one was ever used to this fast pressure.
I don't think it's going to win them grand finals, though, but they definitely have influence as he beams Aqua, who tries to take that position that I think is so important for them. And he knows how low it is. Stompy also low. This might be the end. Yes, Stompy goes down. Same with Galen. And it's now all up to Aqua to try to hang on, but Josh and Leo JT, they're trapped in between multiple controller players. And Aqua did find his way out. Wolfies knows that that wasn't the player, though. He knows that there's still a possibility that they can find an easy elim. He does get back on terms of HP, but that reboot going to be impossible.
And whenever there's an elimination, there's a change on the leaderboard, and it might be the top 3 spot. It might be a potential for the top 3 as well. We talk about people who are at 20 points. This had to be the game for them to rise up, and it doesn't look like the Kings of Height will be there for Game 5, at least one of them. Aqua, can he do it by himself? It's a tall order. Wolfie's still in the box fight. You can see the effect of their fights too. 1,000 damage above Surge. They're now worried, and they're going to keep making people more so with Leo J. 7 different duos now shooting their box. Josh just trying to get things off, but it's not going to be possible. Their mat's so low because they've just been chasing, not even being pressured.
It's so funny. They pushed up against a full duo to continue that fight. They didn't get any damage out of it. So they're big chilling, and they stop and they disengage to get back down and hopefully farm a little bit rather than rely on an impact. Toos falls to, I was going to say Surge, but no, Surge's not even active just yet. Let's see, there's Storm, or he fell off the map. Here we get an update on where everybody is. The game is going to be Lazy Lake type ending, and that's one of the most difficult to move throughout. It's so much open area, but Aqua has found a way to get way far away from Lecce and Wolfies, and I think for good reason. He knows that these types, actually, if you remember in week 4, they had a little bit of a spat on Twitter against each other. Aqua only 2 above, now 29 below. He's trying to lurk and find something. Onto Styler and Maestro, and I think he possibly could get into this. No, he's just going to get up on height. And I think he's going to be able to get the beams that he needs from here because he has a legendary AR.
It was lucky that it was Aqua that lived and not Stompy, just because he has the power tools in his inventory. Might not have the launch pad. No, he does as well too. A pocket C4 that we don't usually see, but as a solo, the best thing you could possibly have in your inventory to kind of have a surprise. He'll have to get those beams though that you mentioned. Might be on Cubics. Here is the breakdown of how everything's looking around Aqua. He does have a good position, but not height and not zone. And zone right now is going to be centered on that central Misty Meadows island, and we know how crazy it gets if you're mid and low ground. Aqua quickly finding a way to rise up top, getting an elimination on Josh. So still getting points. It's not a hopeless game entirely, but they might need like a 20 elim pop-off the next one if they want to secure everything. Still, not over. Has some of the best weapons in the game. We've mentioned it before. And prime position.
Styler and Maestro make their way away as well, and I believe they might have gotten an impact that they're refreshing. Actually, possibly just farmed it out enough at the bottom of that base. How much brick is it? It's going to skip. Nate takes out Mitro, and CRR goes down to a fight as well to Siberia. And so that team right now is pretty much out of contention for anything super important, at least where you would expect them. Now vying to get extra prizing by getting top 25, but even that might be a difficult task for them. Nate combines for another one as well onto Putro. So Andalex and Nate push their lead a little bit more. I think their biggest threat is going to be Queasy and Trulex.
A rivalry that we could not have predicted, at least before game 1. And yeah, balance is a key thing when it comes to the 2 ways you can kind of win out in games. Placement and eliminations. Wolfies and Lecce, Mitro and CRR obviously over-relying on eliminations, but they're not going to have too many.
Another full duo white from Nate and Andalex. These guys are now on fire. That's about 5 elims in the past 1 minute, and Queasy and Trulex are not too far away from where it was happening. You can see Andalex way back in the distance. Siberia was in on those fights. And Queasy and Trulex have a good location up on height. Where does this 4th zone pull? Further down towards the center of the lake. And they do beam Andalex and Nate, who are coming out of zone at the worst possible time. This is now going to be a hard tick. And they have to recover. I don't see how they can. They're right on top of iDrop and Mr. Savage, who are starting to push their way up the leaderboard as well. And they know. Queasy and Trulex know. Wakey as well. Everybody in the lobby knows where this fight was occurring because they saw it in the elim feed, and there it is. Our first place team eliminated by the pressure of Queasy and Trulex. Yes, they might not have gotten the credit for that. It's Nappy and Wakey who do. But Queasy and Trulex were one of the contributing factors to that entire thing. They fought against Mitro and CRR outside of zone, and as they came in, everybody knew that they should be focused and they should be taken out of contention. That's the difficulty when you find yourself at the top. You've got to hang on against everybody who wants to claw at your feet.
Shops top down from height onto Nate and Andalex, but shots down up in the leaderboard. Because now people get to move up. Here's the overall zone. Once again, an update. It's going to slightly move up from the island, so we'll have a little bit of no man's land. Some people stuck inside the meadows.
By himself, he took height in 4th zone on edge. And he even has an impact and a say onto Styler going down. So many different teams impacted that. Ref's Guard with the actual credit, and then Bella EU down on low. They get that, and then because of it, Maestro gets split, and another team gets a full impact. Wakey finds another as well, who's now also on fire. Yes, Nathan Andalek got probably 5 or 6 elims in this game, but Snappy and Wakey pushing up in towards that as well, and no opportunity for placements from the teams that are down and out.
Surge might be a factor here if 3 teams or 3 individuals don't go down. 28 duos still left. Nord and Sweeze taking out a few. Savage and iDrop uncharacteristically playing low ground so far. Usually up at mid looking for more shots, but playing box to box, especially with the refresh that they got right above theirs. Nate and Alex are going to be looking really nice and fine. Have multiple launch pads as well, so they'll be able to survive 6th and then 7th zone afterwards as well. There's a big RPG coming right in, but blocked off by a quick reset after hearing the noise, the audio cue.
And it's going right across. Look at that 5th zone across the water. Every single time we see this, it feels like it pulls in that direction, but maybe that's just confirmation bias. As Mr. Savage and iDrop have to make the long trek down towards the central Misty Meadows Island. Everybody on that eastern side looks to have basically a free path as they make their way off the mountain and probably just full tunnel in. Thankfully, that 5th zone isn't even farther down south, so that's good for them. But iDrop and Mr. Savage, how do they make it? It's got to be launch pads. There's Aqua, who makes his way over, and he settles on a mid-ground layer. It's Lecce and Wolfies who actually have height for what looks like the first time. Queasy and Trulex, though, possibly, yes, they're going to land on Astro and Hardfind, who are capped, which is why you see so many times it's the Aqua and Stompy strategy of landing on a team who's capped off, and you can build up above them. Mr. Savage, though, fighting for it. And for good reason. Both of these teams need to maintain, and both of these teams need to have good performances in this one. And against Wolfies and Lecce, the biggest threat on the other side, this might be difficult. Look how much investment you have to make to do this.
And all the way on low, we see Savage, Scully, Kiriachi, Letwick as well. Trying to survive while these guys just divvy it out on height. So much pressure kind of rained down. A lot of AR kind of taken out from Squeezy as well. 7 seconds till we see which side of the map gets to play the game while the others try to catch up. Is it north? Is it south? It's going to be... Ooh, neither. Kind of neither, yeah. Both going to be on even footing. I feel like Queasy and Trulex will have to launch pad first, though. So Wolfies and Lecce will have an opportunity to get a few shots in.
But the launchpad economy, yes, we just switched to Mr. Savage, who has one. And they're directly under Trulex and Queasy, so that could be good for them. But the launchpad economy for the rest of the lobby, I think, has been kind of exhausted because of how they all had to play off of that mountain. So there might not be as many as we would expect. And if they do a late pad, it's going to be a quick one. Queasy and Trulex might not have had the opportunity to grab that. I'm looking, yes, they did. They're bouncing off of low ground, actually. And Trulex is knocked out of the sky for most likely Wolfies and Lecce. Aqua's still up in this one, still trying to clutch two and pressuring against Mr. Savage. He's still looking for height by himself, my man. Does not stop. He's trying to spot where are Wolfies and Lecce. They've given it up.
Is he up?
This is it.
He's on height.
He has it, but for how long is the big question.
He has a launch in case things go bad, only 17 builds, but height's been built out for him. Finally uses that launch pad to get all the way ahead, but once again, can't upkeep with just 100 mats, is looking to pressure the lobby like he always does, teammate or not. Aqua is on height with Brutus's minigun, looking for any opportunity left, right, and center. Ice still at 0 points, looking for a way to survive. 22 duels left. So we're way away from placement. Right now, it's all about survival, all about picks. And somehow, Aqua is still reigning over the whole server, getting another airdrop halfway through. And that'll give him a few more materials to outlast things, another launch pad, as well as possibly an RPG.
Is he actually going to grab it? He shot it down. He picks up one. He also pressures Waku's on a tear in this one. And he's going to drop down. He's going to get the impact. KZ Pet could drop him down, but he doesn't. And that's a lot more materials to bring this through and to carry this home. Aqua so close now to the placement thresholds by himself. And look at this. Nobody even thinking about challenging the minigun of Aqua. It feels like the rest of the lobby thinks that Stompy is still up in this game because nobody wants any part of pushing up at Aqua.
The only thing that can stop him now is a duo with one flopper player. We've already seen Queasy extend a bunch of his floppers coming in from the side. Aqua finds him, gets a few tags off, but it's not enough to actually break him down. Now, people flying over. It's Clement, Kaizen looking for their own spot. They are solos. I think they finally see that up top is just one person with a minigun. At the same time, his duo could be anywhere. We know, though, that he doesn't exist. It's just Aqua with 4 mats controlling the server still, past 3 different zones, having height the entire time. How is this even possible?
I don't even know. He's also breaking any launch pads, any possibilities of anybody pushing up and realizing that this is actually only a solo in this game. You remember it was Wolfies and Lecce who took him out earlier through that. We're now in a fight against Kiriachi. I think it might be just Lecce by himself. Kiriachi looking and doesn't spot too high. Kaizik and Clement are in this game, or sorry, Clement and Kaizen in this game. There's the minigun. Again, doesn't even look. Just goes straight down. Does not want anything to do with Stompy and Aqua possibly on the high ground. But again, just Aqua clutching up. Now gets the 10th placement threshold.
It's just PTSD for everyone in the lobby. They know when they get beamed, it's hopeless. There's always a second person there to follow up. This time, though, that solo pressure will mimic it, forcing everyone down. Now Kiriachi on low ground. 2 eliminations. It's the top 5, and Aqua's made it. Still with another huge refresh. 300 mats by himself. The World Cup winner and carry for the duo so far in Game 5 of Europe. 3 elims, looks for more, gets a few more pickaxes down. It's Kiriachi on low. It's a 1v1. Can Aqua win it? Is it just him by himself? Can this man be the menace for the region? Kiriachi tries to survive pulling up. The minigun's just a bit too much. He drops down for a pump tack shotgun. It's not there. Another one for the jump. It's there. The 34 damage tag. It's hopeless for Kiriachi. There's a big trade, though. Can Aqua find it once again? They're so low. The mini. Is it possible? He's in zone. The final jump. It's a tag. The storm. And Aqua, I can't believe it, finishes it off by himself the whole time on height alone.